I'm Stuart Cameron, welcome to Friday's Look at Rugby. Last week, Melrose did it again with a 6th league win on the bounce to go into second place in the Premiership, beating Heriots at Golden Acre 14-12. Hawick posted a good win at Stirling to jump to 5th, while Gala consolidated their 4th position with a 3rd win in a row at Boroughmuir. The weather affected the fixture card, with Selkirk and Jed having their games postponed, but Peebles won at home to Mar, and Kelso lost heavily at Stuart's Melville, also having a red card dished out to Dom Buckley for violent conduct. And so to tomorrow, and subject to the usual pitch inspections, just a couple of Premiership matches on the calendar. Melrose visit Curry, a game which sees the return to the starting lineup of Joe Helps, one of the best goal kickers in Scottish rugby, and also good to see Austin Lockington back on the team sheet tomorrow. In the other Premiership fixture, Hawick are at home to Glasgow Hawks, knowing that a win at Mansfield Park would push them nearer to the playoff zone as they attempt to catch Gala for that 4th place playoff spot. Hooker Lindsay Gibson is the only change to the team that beat Stirling last Saturday. Now at Philiphaugh tomorrow, National 1 leaders Selkirk and second place GHA, who beat them in the Cup earlier in the season, do battle, but Selkirk are still unbeaten in the league, 15 out of 15, and a big crowd is expected. That's our featured game on Radio Borders, weather permitting. Stuart McFarlane and Dale Clancy, your commentators. Jed Forest will host Mar, Kelso are at home to Aberdeen Grammar, and Peebles go to Dundee High School FP. As usual, we'll be tweeting news about matches off from early tomorrow morning. A word too about St Boswell's in East League 2. Now, if they beat second-placed Forester tomorrow, they'll complete an extraordinary 2 years without being beaten in all competitions. The other fixtures then, it's Perthshire against Hawick YM in National League 3, East League 1, Dunbar v Duns, Hawick Lindeen against Berwick, East League 2, it's Inverleith against Earlston and St Boswell's against Forester, and in East League 3, Queensferry against Walkerburn, RDVC versus Gala YM. Now, during the week, I went to a couple of games. On Tuesday night at BT Murrayfield's back pitches, Scotland under-20 beat a Scotland club team 30-17. Quite a few borderers involved in that, and afterwards I spoke with under-20s try-scorer Rory Howarth, and first, representing the clubs, George Graham. Good workout for the boys, of course, and not much preparation time ahead of some big internationals.
No, definitely. It's been a tough. Obviously, we've only had 4 sessions together, and I think they've been together for quite a long time. So they've got all their moves set out. They know how to play. They've got patterns where they're going to play from the park. And obviously, we've had a couple of sessions, but it's been sort of here and there, and everyone can't make it because of work commitments. But it was a good run out. I think second half we sort of got into the groove. We started to settle down, play a bit more physicality against them, and it was. They're obviously as keen as mustard, and because they're obviously playing for a place to go to the World Cup, which is absolutely massive for them. I mean, we're playing obviously to play for our country as well, but for them to go on abroad and on tour and stuff, it's a big occasion for them boys.
Tell us, from a club's perspective, how important this is to get into a Scottish club side.
No, definitely for me. I mean, obviously playing most. Well, I've played most from rugby in England and moving up. I am a Scottish lad, but there's nothing proud of playing for Scotland, even if it's amateur or pro. I feel very proud to play for my country, and I think a lot of the boys do as well, and it's an honour, to be honest.
Of course, England counties, will be a bit of an unknown quantity, but of course they're going to be a massive side.
Oh yeah, you've seen, I don't know if they're from National 1 or Championship, but either way, there's a lot of money in the English Championship and in the National 1, so they're going to be big boys, they're going to be well drilled, and we've just got to step up to the plate and obviously produce something special. But you can only play what's put in front of you, and I think we'll rise to the occasion.
Well, quick word about Gala, finally, 3 in a row now, which is very, very pleasing after the dip in form before Christmas.
Yeah, we've sort of hit a little bit of form. I think we've got a lot more to come, but we're playing for that top 4 position, and I think a few teams can catch us. We've got a really tough run in playing Melrose and Heriots, so we've just got to keep ticking away and make sure we get maximum point, well, at least 4 points from each of those games, and see what happens at the end of the season. Obviously, we can't go into the future, but we'll keep plugging away and see what happens.
Well, of course, it's all to play for, isn't it, with the World Championships coming out shortly, but that's a good workout.
Yeah, definitely. Playing against club boys, best club boys in Scotland, so it's a good way to warm up for France next week.
Tell me how competitive this is, because there's a lot of under-20 boys, big stage, World Cup year.
Yeah, really competitive, obviously in camps and stuff, up in the intensity, and I think this year we really want to prove something. Obviously in the Six Nations and the World Championships, really want to just put a good performance in.
And of course you're playing full-back today, and you played the full 80 minutes, which was good. Is that your favourite position?
For now anyway, yeah. Yeah, a bit more space, and I think that more just suits me
And of course, I mean, the great thing about it is that you're a utility guy. You can play, in the centre and all sort of fly half as well.
Yeah, more than happy to step into other back positions in the field, yeah.
So as you get onto that plane.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
In the other game I saw on Wednesday afternoon, Kelso High School S2 went up to Merchiston School in Edinburgh to put their 2-year unbeaten record on the line, having won over 30 games already at S1 level last year and S2 this season. Star of the show undoubtedly was captain Dan Gamble, scoring 2 tries and almost scoring a third and creating havoc all over the park. And the Kelso boys won that game 26 points to 12. Now their head coach is Jammy McFarlane, and afterwards I had a chat with him about Kelso High School and other matters involving schools rugby.
It's very good. We're pretty pleased with the way things have been going. It's a particularly good group of boys that we've got. They're strong in number. We've got 24 players. They're a real tight group, and the strength of the group is now paying dividends in terms of the team's performance and results.
We don't often see schools from the borders going up to play outside of the area, but there's plenty of local derbies, of course, that we see in the semi-junior league, etc., and in the schools. But very rarely do we see like a Merchiston or a Dollar playing one of the local sides from the borders. So this is a big step forward and a new experience for the kids.
Yeah, it is for a lot of them. I think there is a concerted effort in most of the schools in the borders now to try and get more games away from the traditional border games. For example, last season our fixture list had 3 games against the same border team. So some of us have took a decision that we'll just play home and away, and we'll try and fill the fixture list by picking up fixtures elsewhere. So this season we've been fortunate. We've had Lass Wade fixture, Stirling County, Stuart's Melville, and now today Merchiston. So we're spreading our wings. We're getting to meet and make new friends outside of the traditional borders rugby heartland, and I think it's a great experience for the kids as well to see other types of rugby and other clubs and schools and how they do it.
I've spoken to several ex-players, etc., and ex-coaches of rugby schools in the area, and they've found it hard in the past to actually get a good result against a Merchiston or a Dollar or a team like this because of the gulf we saw today. I mean, that was a huge result, 26 points to 12 for Kelso, remaining unbeaten. But in general terms, normally we find it the other way round.
Yeah, I think usually we're a wee bit behind the schools like Merchiston because I think they spend more time on task doing their rugby. The advent of school of rugby programmes in the border schools, certainly the last 2 or 3 years, we now, for example, this current group that we're working with S2 there, they do 5 rugby sessions a week, which is a far cry from doing 1 after school session and then a game at weekend. They're now doing 5 plus a game at weekend, so they're doing a lot more rugby now. They're taking a lot more serious. We've got a strength conditioning programme that we're working through, as well as the field sessions and upskilling them. So we're spending a lot more time on it now. Maybe not quite as much as the schools like Merchiston, but certainly a lot more. There's less of a gulf than there was in terms of time on task.
And it certainly proves that things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, well, that today for us is it's an abnormally good group of players that we've got there, so they're doing very well, and the result's nice. It's more the performance and the opportunity to compete against the very good Merchiston C1 team. So we're pleased with that. I think if we took some of our other teams to the same place and played the same teams, likely enough we would struggle because I think we're still a bit behind overall. However, the schools at Merchiston have put enough teams on the field at the weekend that they can put a team together to give us competitive games regardless of the level that we've got and we're operating at.
When the boys actually arrived, I mean, a lot of teams would have been overawed by the fact that, you're looking out on the field there at Merchiston and there was something like 12 rugby pitches. I mean, nothing like this in the area.
No, they've got fantastic facilities there, and they're very lucky to have that. It'd be nice if we had something similar in Kelso. We'll get a new school in the next 12 months, 18 months, hopefully. So our facilities will improve, but generally in the borders we run a bit behind in terms of facilities, and that's a bit of a shame. But we need to do something to improve facilities right across the borders. But it's certainly not a criticism of Merchiston or other schools like that. They're very fortunate, but equally they work hard at justifying having the fabulous facility, and they're obviously putting people out at the other end of the game So it's paying dividends. Having that facility is getting them results, and it's producing some really good quality, not just people, but some really good rugby players.
Now, Scottish Rugby, the SRU, are saying that they're trying to put more money and more investment into grassroots rugby, which is something that's been called for a long, long time. We're now seeing the academies popping up all over Scotland, and of course in the borders as well.
Well, a couple of initiatives that are on the go just now. The new academy set up is potentially very exciting. I think it's long overdue, but it's very exciting. I'd like to see sooner rather than later how it's going to look and working, but certainly potentially very exciting. I'm keen on it starting and getting on with it to see what we can produce from that. But also the School of Rugby programme is hopefully going to grow from the current size it is and be extended beyond the current year groups of S1 and 2, which it mostly is. So again, that investment in schools and youth rugby hopefully will pay dividends for Scotland in the longer term.
Now, next week, the Six Nations, the RBS Six Nations takes place, and the big focal point of rugby, I mean, the RBS obviously beating on about it, saying this is the greatest competition in the world. I think the guys down under in the Championship would probably say the same. But there's no doubt the Six Nations is a big, big deal. What about that factor that it's slipping through into the young kids and they're getting inspired by competitions like this?
This is one of the times of year when everyone that's working in rugby has an opportunity to sell rugby to the kids, engage with the kids and sell our sport because of the high profile that we enjoy during Six Nations time. Later in the year we'll get World Cup, so 2015 is a massive year in terms of us promoting our sport and selling it to a new generation of young players.
And as you mentioned there as well, the World Cup coming up as well. So there's an awful lot of high-profile rugby about for kids to get inspired. And no doubt yourself, you will see the player that doesn't necessarily think they're a rugby fan will probably suddenly get turned on to it.
Yeah, it usually captures the imagination of even non-rugby supporters, the Six Nations and the World Cup. So, I think it's got to be a huge year, and hopefully we can grow our game a little further from where it is just now.
And finally, just now, got to mention what's happening with you with regard to rugby. Obviously, you've got your Kelso school work, which you're doing. Long term, do you want to get back into club rugby again?
I'd like to get back into doing something club-wise. At the moment, I'm not in a great hurry. I think the phone will ring when it rings, and I'll speak to somebody when it rings. But for now, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. I've got no intention of leaving here. I'm enjoying my work at the school. I enjoy the support of the school. I enjoy working with the kids here that play rugby, and I enjoy the support I get from their families. I'm not in a hurry, but I want to get back into club rugby sooner rather than later. I really need that for myself, I think.
In the borders?
Because it would fit better with the job. But ideally, it would need to be in the borders. So, but we'll see.
Jammy McFarlane. Well, fingers crossed for games being played tomorrow, but that's it for your Rugby Tonight.